First contact and false assumptions. The Galactic Alliance's first mistake was assuming that any species evolving from a death world would be brutish and simple. Their second mistake was telling humanity this to their faces. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Alliance Council, maintaining perfect composure despite the patronizing smiles directed at her from the assembled alien delegates. The council chamber, with its soaring crystalline spires and floating platforms, was designed to intimidate. Chen had grown up in the underwater cities of New Shanghai. It would take more than fancy architecture to unsettle her. As I was saying, High Counselor Vexthor continued, his translucent tentacles rippling with barely concealed disdain. Humanity's application for full Alliance membership must be denied at this time. Your species simply hasn't demonstrated the necessary sophistication. Chen's neural implants were recording everything, transmitting real-time data back to Earth Command. She didn't need them to recognize the crucial moment this represented. Humanity had spent the last decade since first contact preparing for exactly this scenario. "We understand, High Counselor," Chen replied, her smile gentle. "Earth will, of course, continue to operate under provisional membership status. We only wish to be productive members of the galactic community." The assembled council members relaxed visibly. This was what they expected from primitive species, acceptance of their place in the hierarchy. None of them noticed how Chen's smile never quite reached her eyes. What the Alliance didn't know, what they hadn't bothered to investigate, was that humanity had already surpassed them in many ways. While the Alliance relied on brute force FTL drives that tore through space, human ships slipped quietly through dimensional folds. While they built their weapons with raw energy output in mind, humanity had mastered subtle technologies that could unravel the fabric of reality itself. But Chen's orders were clear. Let them think us primitive. Let them underestimate us. It was a strategy as old as human civilization itself. Appear weak when you are strong. Back on her ship, Chen initiated a quantum-encrypted communication with Earth Command. "Phase 1 complete," she reported. "They rejected our application, exactly as predicted." Fleet Admiral Jackson's hologram nodded grimly. "Good. How long before they try to guide our development?" "Based on their standard protocols, 6 months at most. They'll start by trying to restrict our expansion into the Orion Arm." "Perfect. That gives us time to position our assets. Keep playing the peaceful primitive, Ambassador. Let's hope they never give us reason to show them otherwise." But Chen knew better. The Alliance's history was filled with examples of them exploiting primitive species. It wasn't a question of if they would push too far, only when. In the following months, humanity appeared to accept every restriction with grace. No new colonies without approval. Of course, limited technology exports. Perfectly reasonable. Restricted access to certain regions of space. They understood completely. Meanwhile, human quantum computers were quietly infiltrating Alliance networks. Stealth observation posts were being established in dimensional pockets throughout Alliance space, and in secret shipyards throughout Earth's sphere of influence, a new class of ships was being constructed. Vessels that blended human ingenuity with technologies the Alliance couldn't even comprehend. Dr. Marcus Rivera, head of Earth's Special Technologies Division, submitted his weekly report to Chen with barely contained excitement. "The Phantom drive tests exceeded all expectations," he wrote. "We can now effectively cloak entire fleets from Alliance sensors. They're still looking for tachyon signatures while we're operating on an entirely different level of reality." Chen forwarded the report to Earth Command with a single comment: "We'll be ready." As she watched Alliance ships patrol Earth's solar system with their obvious displays of power, Chen was reminded of an ancient Earth saying, "Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." The Alliance thought they were containing a primitive species. In reality, they were completing humanity's preparation for them. Every patrol revealed more about their capabilities. Every interaction exposed their weaknesses. Every patronizing gesture fueled humanity's resolve. They wouldn't strike first. That wasn't the human way. But when the Alliance finally showed their true colors, humanity would be ready. And the galaxy would learn why Earth was classified as a death world in the first place. Dr. Marcus Rivera stood in his underground laboratory, 30 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, watching quantum probability streams dance across his holoscreens. To most Alliance species, the facility would have been a death trap, crushing pressures, near total darkness, and temperatures that would freeze most organic compounds. To humanity, it was just another Tuesday. Run the simulation again, he instructed the AI. Focus on power signature masking. The Alliance's latest patrol had passed through the Sol system yesterday, their ships broadcasting energy signatures like cosmic beacons. They never detected the human observation posts scattered throughout the asteroid belt. They certainly never realized that every photon they emitted was being analyzed, cataloged, and used to perfect humanity's countermeasures. Rivera's quantum communicator chimed. A direct link from Ambassador Chen. How close are we? She asked without preamble. The phantom drives are ready, Rivera replied, manipulating the probability streams with practiced ease. We can now move entire battle groups without leaving so much as a gravitational ripple, but that's not why you called. No, Chen's hologram flickered with concern. The Alliance just established a security checkpoint in the Proxima Centauri system. They're inspecting all human vessels for restricted technologies. Rivera's hand stilled. They're testing us. Worse, they're looking for an excuse. Intelligence suggests they've discovered some of our deep space mining operations. They don't know what we're building, but they're getting nervous. The mining operations were humanity's masterstroke. Vast automated facilities that appeared to be harvesting basic minerals, but were actually constructing something far more sophisticated. The Alliance's own regulations prevented them from interfering with primitive resource extraction activities. Have they detected the quantum signature? Rivera asked. No, but they're starting to notice patterns. Human ships avoiding certain sectors. Mining operations that produce less ore than they should. They're not smart enough to figure it out, but they're smart enough to be suspicious. Rivera pulled up another holoscreen, this one showing the status of Project Prometheus. Scattered across human space, thousands of seemingly innocent mining platforms were actually pieces of a vast machine. Each component was useless alone, carefully designed to appear primitive to Alliance scanners. But when activated together, we're at 82% completion, he reported. We need another 3 months. We may not have 3 months. The Alliance Council is voting next week on a proposal to establish permanent bases in human territory. For our own protection, of course. Rivera swore softly. If they establish bases, they might detect the quantum grid when we activate it. Exactly. We need options, Marcus. Rivera studied the probability streams, watching potential futures branch emerge. There might be a way, he said slowly. We've been testing a new application of quantum entanglement. Instead of hiding our activities, we could make them look like something else entirely. Explain. We can create quantum mirages, false readings that would show the Alliance exactly what they expect to see. Let them think they're observing primitive mining operations while we complete the grid right under their noses. Chen's hologram smiled grimly. Do it, but be careful. If they realize we're this far ahead of them technologically, they'll try to destroy us before we become a threat. Rivera finished. I know. The irony is, if they hadn't treated us like primitives, we might never have built any of this. After Chen signed off, Rivera sent new instructions to the automated facilities. Quantum probability fields shifted, reality twisted, and to any Alliance observer, humanity's activities would appear exactly as expected, primitive, predictable, harmless. In his office at Earth Command, Fleet Admiral Jackson reviewed Rivera's latest report. The quantum grid was progressing faster than expected, its components disguised as everything from communication relays to waste processing plants. When activated, it would give humanity control over the very fabric of space-time within its radius. Status report, he commanded his eye. Alliance patrol patterns suggest they have no awareness of our true capabilities, the AI responded. Their latest intelligence assessment still classifies Earth as a developing civilization with limited technological understanding. Jackson allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had learned long ago that the best defense wasn't a strong offense. It was making sure your opponents underestimated you until it was too late. But even as humanity prepared, the Alliance was growing bolder. Their patrols were becoming more aggressive, their demands more intrusive. The question wasn't whether they would force humanity's hand, but when. And when that day came, the galaxy would learn why humans had thrived on a death world, not through brute strength or superior technology, but through something far more dangerous, the ability to smile and wait while building the means of their enemy's destruction. The quantum grid grew steadily, piece by piece, hidden in plain sight. And in deep underground laboratories, in orbital facilities masked as primitive repair stations, in seemingly abandoned mining operations, humanity continued its silent preparations for the day when being nice would no longer be an option. The breaking point. The Hope's Promise research station hung in orbit around Europa, its exterior deliberately designed to look weathered and primitive by Alliance standards. Inside, Dr. Elena Santos was making history, though the Alliance would never know it. Quantum entanglement field stable, her AI reported. Bioneural interface operating at optimal efficiency. Santos watched as her latest experiment unfolded. Human consciousness transferring seamlessly across quantum states, allowing instant communication across any distance. The Alliance still relied on faster-than-light transmissions that took hours to cross the galaxy. Humanity had moved beyond such limitations. The station's proximity alert chimed. An Alliance inspection vessel was approaching. The third this week. Santos quickly activated the station's quantum mirage protocols. To the Alliance's scanners, they would detect nothing but basic medical research and primitive life support systems. But this time was different. Attention Human Research Station. The Alliance commander's voice crackled through the comm. Our sensors detect unauthorized energy signatures. Prepare for immediate boarding and inspection. Santos frowned. The quantum mirages should have hidden everything. Unless she checked the readings and felt her blood run cold. The Alliance ship was using new scanning technology, something that could partially detect quantum state variations. She initiated emergency protocols, starting the process of transferring crucial data through the quantum network. This is Dr. Elena Santos of the Hope's Promise. We are conducting authorized medical research under Section 7 of the Provisional Membership Agreement. Our work here saves lives across 3 sectors. The Alliance commander's response was immediate and harsh. Your species has repeatedly demonstrated inability to follow proper technological development protocols. We are authorized to use force if necessary. Santos watched in disbelief as the Alliance vessel charged its weapons. Please, she transmitted. We have over 200 researchers aboard, including visiting scientists from Alliance worlds. Any weapons fire could rupture our containment fields. The Alliance ship fired. It was a warning shot, meant to disable rather than destroy. But they had miscalculated. The energy beam struck one of the station's quantum field generators, creating a cascade effect that no one, human or Alliance, had predicted. The resulting quantum surge ripped through the station's lower levels. Emergency systems engaged instantly, saving most of the crew and research data. But 23 people died in those first few seconds. 5 of them were Alliance citizens. As emergency pods launched from the dying station, Santos managed to send one final quantum transmission to Earth Command. They've crossed the line. The response came instantly through the quantum network, broadcast simultaneously to every human ship, station, and colony. Protocol Omega is now in effect. Across human space, hidden systems began powering up. The quantum grid, nearly complete, hummed with potential energy. In underground bases and secret facilities, technologies that humanity had kept hidden for years emerged from their camouflage. Ambassador Chen was in the middle of another patronizing Alliance Council session when she received the news. She stood, interrupting High Counselor Vexthor mid-sentence. "This emergency session is now over," she announced, her voice carrying an authority that made even the most arrogant council members fall silent. "Humanity hereby announces its immediate withdrawal from the Provisional Membership Agreement." "You cannot simply," Vexthor began. 23 people are dead. Chen cut him off. 5 of them your own citizens. The Alliance has demonstrated it cannot be trusted with the responsibility of galactic leadership. "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" another council member demanded. "No," Chen replied, her smile now carrying an edge that sent chills through the chamber. "This is simply notification. For years, you've treated humanity as primitive, dangerous, something to be contained and controlled. You never asked yourselves why a species that evolved on a death world would choose to appear so harmless." She stood straight, every inch the representative of a power the Alliance had fatally underestimated. "Humanity tried playing nice. We followed your rules. We smiled at your condescension. We endured your restrictions. And how did you repay that patience? By murdering innocent researchers." The council chamber erupted in protests and demands, but Chen's voice cut through them all. "You have 1 hour to withdraw all Alliance military forces from human space. After that, we will remove them ourselves." "You're insane," Vexthor sputtered. "Your primitive fleet couldn't hope to." "Who said anything about our fleet?" Chen's smile was terrifying in its serenity. "Look around you, Counselor. Did you really think we spent the last decade just accepting your restrictions? We were preparing, learning, building." She turned to leave, then paused. 1 hour. I suggest you use it wisely." As Chen's quantum transmission reached Earth Command, Fleet Admiral Jackson gave the order they'd been waiting years to execute. "Activate the quantum grid. Show them exactly what a death world species is capable of." Across the galaxy, humanity's true power was about to be revealed, and the Alliance was about to learn why you should never push a species that evolved on a planet trying to kill them. The unveiling. The Alliance's response was exactly what humanity had expected. They sent their fleet. 1,000 warships materialized across human space, their energy weapons charged, their commanders confident in their overwhelming superiority. Fleet Admiral Jackson watched the tactical display in Earth Command's quantum center with perfect calm. "Status of the grid?" he asked. "Quantum grid at 100% activation," Dr. Rivera reported, his fingers dancing across probability streams. "All nodes synchronized. Reality anchors in place." "And the Alliance fleet? Exactly where we want them." Across human space, seemingly primitive mining platforms, communication relays, and research stations suddenly shifted. The quantum mirages fell away, revealing their true nature. Each was a node in humanity's quantum grid, a vast network capable of manipulating the very fabric of space-time. On the Alliance flagship, Supreme Commander Zixtal watched in growing horror as his sensors reported impossible readings. "What are they doing?" he demanded. The answer came in the form of Ambassador Chen's voice, broadcasting simultaneously to every Alliance vessel. "For years, you've restricted our technology, limited our expansion, and treated us like children playing with dangerous toys. Today, you learn why Death World species survive." At her signal, humanity activated its quantum grid. The effect was immediate and devastating, but not in the way the Alliance expected. There was no massive energy blast, no overwhelming show of force. Instead, reality itself seemed to shift. Alliance weapon systems simply stopped working. Their engines, while still functional, could no longer generate enough power to achieve FTL speeds. Their sophisticated targeting systems became useless, unable to lock onto any human vessels or installations. "What have you done?" Zixtal demanded. "We've changed the rules," Chen replied simply. "The quantum grid allows us to locally adjust fundamental constants. Your weapons rely on physics operating in very specific ways. We've simply adjusted those parameters. The Alliance fleet, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, found itself effectively neutered. They could still move, still communicate, but their military advantage had vanished in an instant. But humanity wasn't done. Dr. Santos, now coordinating from Earth's backup facility, activated the second phase. The quantum network that the Alliance had dismissed as primitive communication technology revealed its true purpose. Instantly, every human ship, station, and facility was linked in a vast quantum consciousness, sharing information, coordinating responses, operating as a single entity. "You've been watching our ships," Jackson transmitted to the Alliance command, "studying our capabilities. But you never asked yourselves why we let you watch so easily. Everything you've seen has been exactly what we wanted you to see." As if to demonstrate, human vessels began emerging from quantum states that Alliance sensors couldn't even detect. Ships that appeared primitive and weak now shifted, quantum engineering allowing them to operate in ways that defied conventional physics. But the true masterstroke was yet to come. "Your hour is up," Chen announced from the council chamber. "Now we demonstrate what happens when you push a Deathworld species too far." At her signal, Dr. Rivera activated the final phase of humanity's response. The quantum grid pulsed, and suddenly every Alliance military installation, every secret base, every hidden weapons cache became visible, not just to humans, but to every species in the galaxy. "We could destroy your military capability entirely," Chen continued. "But unlike you, we understand the responsibility that comes with power. Instead, we offer a choice." The quantum grid shifted again, and Alliance ships found themselves able to move once more, but only towards designated exit vectors from human space. "Leave now," Chen commanded, "and we'll allow you to maintain the fiction that you're still the dominant force in the galaxy. Stay, and we'll be forced to demonstrate just how much more we've been hiding." In orbit around Europa, the wreckage of Hope's Promise still drifted, but now quantum engineering crews were rebuilding it, not as the primitive facility the Alliance had seen, but as it truly was, a center for research that would revolutionize galactic civilization. The Alliance fleet retreated, their mighty ships slinking away like scolded children. But this wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. Humanity had revealed itself not through violence, but through such overwhelming technological superiority that violence became unnecessary. They had demonstrated not just power, but the wisdom to use it responsibly. And as the Alliance fleet disappeared into FTL, Dr. Rivera turned to Admiral Jackson with a grim smile. "Should we tell them about the rest of what we can do?" Jackson shook his head. "Let them wonder. Sometimes the fear of what might be is more effective than any weapon." A new order. One standard galactic month after the quantum revelation, as it came to be known, Ambassador Chen stood before a very different Alliance Council. The crystalline chamber remained the same, but the attitudes had changed dramatically. Gone were the patronizing smiles and condescending tones. In their place was something humanity had long sought: respect. "The restructuring proposal is straightforward," Chen explained, addressing representatives from over 300 species. "The era of single-species dominance is over. The new galactic cooperative will operate on principles of mutual benefit and shared advancement." High Counselor Vexthor, significantly humbled since his last encounter with humanity, raised a tentacle. "And the quantum grid will remain active," Chen confirmed, "but under multinational oversight. Humanity has no interest in becoming what we fought against. We're offering partnership, not dominance." The truth was, humanity's revelation had changed everything. The quantum grid had exposed not just Alliance military secrets, but vast networks of corruption, exploitation, and suppression. Species that had been deemed primitive turned out to have been deliberately held back. Resources that were supposedly scarce were revealed to have been hoarded. Dr. Santos, now heading the new Quantum Research Initiative, had been particularly busy. The technology that the Alliance had feared was being freely shared, under proper safety protocols, of course. Medical facilities across the galaxy were being upgraded with quantum healing techniques. Transportation networks were being revolutionized with quantum tunneling. But what guarantees do we have, asked a representative from the former Alliance core worlds, that humans won't simply become the new oppressors? Watch and learn, Chen replied, signaling Dr. Rivera. The quantum grid hummed to life, but this time, instead of limiting capabilities, it enhanced them. Every species in the chamber suddenly found themselves able to perceive quantum states naturally, if temporarily. They could see the intricate web of reality that connected all things. This is how humanity sees the universe, Chen explained. Not as something to be controlled, but as something to be understood and worked with. We evolved on a death world, yes, but that taught us more than just survival. It taught us adaptation, cooperation, and most importantly, the wisdom to know that true strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. In orbit around Earth, Fleet Admiral Jackson watched the Council proceedings through the quantum network. The Alliance fleet that had once threatened them now trained alongside human ships, learning not just new technologies but new ways of thinking. They're adapting faster than expected, his AI noted. Fear is a powerful motivator, Jackson replied. But hope is stronger. We're giving them something the Alliance never did. A future where advancement isn't a zero-sum game. The changes weren't limited to military and political spheres. Dr. Rivera's team had begun establishing quantum engineering schools throughout the galaxy. Former Alliance worlds were discovering that cooperation with humanity led to advancements they'd never dreamed possible. But perhaps the most profound change was cultural. Species that had been taught to fear and distrust each other for millennia were learning to work together. The quantum grid, rather than a weapon, had become a tool for understanding, allowing different species to literally see through each other's eyes. There will be challenges, Chen concluded her address to the Council. Change never comes easily. But remember this, humanity spent years pretending to be less than we were. Not out of fear, but out of hope that force wouldn't be necessary. Even when pushed, we chose to demonstrate power through enlightenment rather than destruction. She gestured to the quantum display showing thousands of worlds, all interconnected by the grid. This is our legacy to the galaxy, not domination, but illumination. Not restriction, but possibility. We emerged from our death world understanding something profound. True strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to build. The vote for the new galactic cooperative was unanimous. Later, in her private quarters, Chen received a quantum transmission from Earth Command. Phase 1 of the Renaissance is complete, she reported. They're ready for the next step. And the Alliance hardliners? Jackson asked. Coming around. It's amazing how perspective changes when you show people a better way forward. Turns out the galaxy was ready for change. They just needed someone to show them it was possible. Chen looked out at the stars, now visibly connected by quantum streams that only humanity had been able to see before. We spent so long preparing for war, she mused, that we created something better, a way to make war obsolete. The quantum grid pulsed gently, carrying humanity's knowledge and hope to every corner of the galaxy. The Death World species that everyone had underestimated had indeed changed everything, not through force of arms, but through force of will and wisdom. And somewhere, on a distant Alliance world, a young being looked up at the quantum streams now visible in their sky and understood for the first time what the humans had known all along. The universe wasn't some